Today we are going to be talking about the Roads of Avalon here in Albion Online in 2023 and some of the new changes and things that they've done with the road, as well as go over some of the features for the road for all of the new players that are coming to Albion Online so you guys can start getting involved in some of the lethal content that is provided by the roads. So right now I am in my guild hideout, and these hideouts are out in the black zone, so mine's right here next to the Martlock portal, which is part of the Outlands. So right down here is where you start at one of the crosses. We have the full rail continent, and then inside Martlock there is a portal, and in that portal I go out to the Martlock portal zone, and I walked out, and this is the current Shroom Squad hideout, which is the guild that I am currently a part of, and this is our zone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk out of the hideout, and I'm going to run into one of the roads and talk about the details of the road so you guys can get a little bit more familiar with the Roads of Avalon here in Albion. So first thing to note is you're going to see these little blue portals on the map, and in the past there used to be green, blue, and yellow portals, but now all of the portals in the open world are going to be blue. And these numbers on here, as you can see, is 7 out of 7. That means 7 players can go through, and the blue portals have a 10-minute cooldown between charges, which means if 7 players went through right now, in 10 minutes 7 players could go through again. But as soon as one of the charges or 7 of the charges is taken, no more players can enter the portal until more charges are up, as well as the timer on the bottom that says closes in 7 hours and 39 minutes. The Roads of Avalon are a unseen mapping system that are technically in this area. You can't really see it like you can the other map tiles, like you can in the Outlands and in the Royal Continent. So what we're going to do is we're going to hop into this portal, and I'm going to talk about some of the details about the inside of these portals. Now, do keep in mind that if you enter any Road of Avalon, doesn't matter if you're in the Royal Continent, doesn't matter if you're in a blue zone, a yellow zone, red zone, or black zone, the Roads of Avalon is a lethal content here in Albion Online, and it is considered a black zone. What that means is that it facilitates all the black zone bonuses, as well as if you do enter in here, it is a full loot PvP experience. So if you do get in a conflict with another player and you do end up dying, I will lose all of the items in my inventory as well as all of the items on my person. My silver in my bag will not be touched. All of this silver will still be here. All the items that I'm wearing and all the stuff in my inventory will fall. So what we're going to do is we're going to enter the Road of Avalon, and then once we come in, there's going to be these symbols on the ground, which we will talk about here in a second. And if we open up the map, this is what the Roads of Avalon look like. And if I remove the, I'm going to remove the streamer mode, locations. So this is the name of the road, and we have some different types of gathering nodes in here, as well as other portals that connect to either another Road of Avalon or to the open world. Now, when you come in, if you do want to go deeper into the roads, just know that the roads that have a dash in the name, like this one, is going to be another Road of Avalon. It might be a deeper road, and there are prefixes and suffixes we're going to talk about later in this video that can dictate what roads you're going into, so you can kind of know where you're going, as well as there is open world. So this one is going to be Sunken Bot Spring, and you can look this area up on your map just by opening up the map and going up to the search bar. So if we go to Sunken Bot Spring and then we press on it, it's going to tell us where we are going to pop out. So this is going to be a tier 8 black zone in the Outlands. So that is something that you can do. You can search up the zones. It's going to be close to Lemhurst portal. But that's just something you can do if you do want to be looking at the zones. But inside here, again, there's going to be wilderness, there's going to be resource mobs in here, as well as resource nodes. Inside these resource nodes can spawn different types of 2 types of resources on each node, as well as there are 1 sorted and 2 sorted mobs. These mobs carry extra resources, and they also have an increased gathering rate of 30%. So you will collect a 1 sorted tier 6 tree faster than a regular tier 6 tree that's in the ground. You'll collect it 30% faster. They are a little bit harder to take down, but they do have more resources overall. And if you are wondering and having a hard time taking down these mobs, I do have another video on the YouTube channel talking about the techniques that I use to take down these sorted mobs. Now, to go over the symbols on the floor, so when you're up to a portal, these are all going to be spinning, and all of these symbols on the floor have a meaning. So the people in the middle right here, you don't have to worry about. So this too means it's going to be a blue portal. This one over here is still used. So this one is going to mean that it's a yellow portal, and these are only connected to Avalonian Rests. Avalonian Rests are a zone here in the Roads of Avalon that can have corrupted dungeons, they can have solo dungeons, they can have all the different types of activities such as chests, you can have hell gates, you can have gathering nodes. Guilds can also place hideouts in the Roads of Avalon, but we won't be talking about that in this video. So here on the floor, we have the inner circle, The second circle, these little dots, is going to be the tier of the zone we are entering. So if we walk up to this portal for the first time and we see that there is 5 dots here, that means that the zone that we are entering, which is High Stone Plains, is going to be a tier 5 zone. So every single one of these dots, if you count them, indicates the tier of the zone that you're going to be entering. For the outer circle, all of these different symbols mean something different when it comes to the roads of Avalon. So this open circle is going to be black zone. This little ring is going to be a red zone. We then have the 2 rings, which is going to be a yellow zone. And then we kind of have we have this type of ring, which is going to be like the black outer ring, and that's going to be a blue zone. So if we look at all the other different types, this one right here is going to be I call it a crossroad personally. So if you have this symbol, so let's say if we walked over to this portal and we saw the cross, that means that we're going to go into another road of Avalon, but these crosses connect to these dots. So if you want to, let's say you're running through the roads of Avalon and you are currently in this road and you want to get out, but there's no roads that connect to the overworld, or maybe you don't want to go to this overworld. If you walk up to a portal with this cross on it, just know that when you go inside, there's going to be a portal inside that connects back to the open world if you are trying to get out of the roads of Avalon. These 3 right here, and as well as the one over there, these 4, these do not connect to the overworld. So these are considered deep roads. Mostly the sanctuary is considered a deep road. I call this one a corridor. So a corridor is kind of it's a little bit of a deeper road. It has resource nodes and different types of things to do in there. And then a sanctuary usually has higher tier resources, if not like more plentiful type of resources. So sanctuaries can be really good finds if you are trying to gather. And then we have the Avalonian Rest, which looks like a bull with horns. That's going to be the place where you could place hideouts and do different activities in there. And then this new addition, which is not in my last video that I posted, is considered, it's like a raid portal symbol. So when this portal is there, this portal is going to be yellow. You see the symbol, we're going to have a yellow portal. A yellow portal can facilitate 20 players. So the point of that is it's going to connect to an Avalonian road that has gold chests that kind of look like this. And these gold chests are meant to be type of like a small raid content. Most of the time, it's meant to have 10 plus players. You have a tank, you have a healer, you have a full DPS comp to take down all of the mobs and boss inside. You can take it down with less if you have higher tier gear and a really experienced team. But for the most part, they're considered a small raid chest. There's going to be small green chests, which are intended for 1 to 3 players. And then there's going to be blue chests, which we don't have one on the map, but blue chests are for like small groups. We have a dungeon, which is another small group activity with like a healer, a tank. There's different comps you can do to clear these with smaller, but we're not going to go into detail on those. And then we have all the resource nodes, which have 2 different types of resources, and they can spawn as 4-5. They can spawn as tier 5-6, 6-7, or 7-8, as well as this current road that I'm in. All of the tiers, such as the tier of this yellow chest, the tier of this green chest, the tier of all the resources in these resources nodes, they are locked. So if I leave this portal, this current portal, and 2 or 3 days later, I happen to find this same exact Avalonian road, everything in here will be the same tier. They're never going to switch. They're going to be the same. They're locked in on this road. As well as if you enter, let's just run into the wilderness real quick so I can show you some of the resource mobs that are in there. We can find out what tier road we're in just by seeing the resource mobs or up. But if you're in a tier 4 road, they're going to be tier 4 resource mobs in the wilderness, which is this area we're going into. If you're in a tier 5 road, they're going to be tier 5 resource mobs. And if you're in a tier 6 road, they're going to be tier 6 resource mods. And from tier 6 to tier 8 Ava roads, all of the resource mobs inside are going to be tier 6. They don't go any higher than that. But I just inspected that mob, and these little chests in here that drop silver as well. We did just inspect one of the mobs and it was tier 8, so we know that we are currently in a Avalonian road that is tier 8. But so the resource mobs in here are going to be tier 6, since the resource mobs that are in this wilderness locations like these little like browned out areas are only going to be tier 6 resource mobs. And they can be any different types of resource mobs. They also have the 30% gathering rate increase. So we have some Blood Oak spirits here. They're going to have 5 ticks on them, and they are tier 6, and then we can keep running. Also wisp spawn in here as well, and they also have the mobs, which these are the tier 8 mobs. So the mobs in here are going to be either 4, 6, or 8. So if you go into a tier 5 road, they won't be tier 5 mobs, they're going to be tier 4. And then once you get to tier 6 and up, there'll be, for tier 6 and 7 road, they're going to be tier 6 mobs in the roads, and tier 8 roads are going to be tier 8 mobs. And they're actually really good for fame. So if you want to do some open world farming and you want to come into the roads of Avalon and just walk through the wilderness clearing all these mobs, they're actually really good for it. So the next thing that I want to talk about is going to be the suffix of the road names. And what I mean by suffix is going to be these last 3 letters. Now, if you look at this list that I have, these are going to be all the suffixes and what they mean when you read them on the end of a road. So currently Los is a large green. We have AM, large blue. UN is going to be a large gold. Lum is a large ore. AUM is large wood. Sum is large fiber. ROM is large rock. And TUM equals a large hide. And what that means, it's a large resource node, or it's talking about large blue chests, large green chest clusters that you can clear, and then large gold chests. So this is going to be the example of a large gold chest that we have right here. But this ore node is a regular ore node. This one is a large ore node. So that's what it means when it talks about different types of large locations with these suffixes. And then when it comes to Avalonian rests, if you mouse over the name of the road, we have a naming system for the prefixes of the Avalonian rest. So when you mouse over and you see any of these prefixes, you will know the tier of the Avarest that you're about to go into. And it's QUA is tier 4, QII is tier 5, SEC is tier 6, and SET is tier 7. Now I know a lot of this is complicated, so I recommend watching the video maybe a couple times over and trying to get it all down. Either that or write some of the stuff that you're getting in this video down on a notepad and just put it next to you while you're playing in the Roads of Avalon. That's something that I do. I have it all down on a notepad to help me continuously look over the information so that I can keep up to date on what I'm doing while I'm inside the roads. But again, it is a black zone. Remember, this is lethal content. But when it comes to the type of activities that you're going to want to do in here, you can either get a group together and clear group dungeons, green chests and blue chests. You can come in here with tools and try to collect from some of the resource nodes like these ones. And actually, some of the best gathering fame can be found in the roads if you find the right ones and the right resource mobs. There are tier 4 resource mobs that have 1 sword above their head. I believe they have 316 ticks of tier 4 on them, which is absolutely insane for all of you low-level gatherers that are just starting out on the East server or the West server. And then from tier 5 and up, there are other types of sworded mobs. There's also aspects in the road that do spawn on some of the large nodes, so that's something to look for as well. If you do want to bring your guild or your team inside, you can make some pretty good money in here, as well as if you ever want to set up in the Avarest, you can. That's a potential place to do hideouts. But overall, it's just a really combination of gathering PvE and PvP experience. But that's going to be it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned some things about the roads of Avalon here in Albion Online. I tried to keep this video, again, as short as possible, just to try to get you guys the information so you can get back out there and start playing the game. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see all of you in the next video, and I'll see all of you in Albion Online.